on this Extra Butter. A special tribute to Chadwick Boseman. Hollywood lost one of the greatest of all time way too soon. We'll tribute with some friends. HBO rescues another movie from the big screens to your home screens. Why you're not immune to the irresistible charm of Unpregnant. And whether you're nesting or not, you could use the help of the organizers to the stars. The creators and host of The Home Edit, new to Netflix, join us on this very special edition of Extra Butter. It's special because you're here. Hey, welcome back. Hope you're doing great. You know, I should preface that by saying, hope you're doing good as can be during this time. You know what I'm saying. Either way, it's good to see you. Thanks for hanging out with us on Extra Butter. I hope you enjoyed our last show, our All Mulan special, celebrating Disney's Mulan as it debuts on Disney+. Of course, it was supposed to be in theaters, and in fact, it was my last big toe-to-toe interview session with these actors, which is why we did a half-hour special on it. However, I need to say that had we not been doing a half-hour special on Mulan last week, I would have been talking about something near and dear to my heart. Sad news, the passing of one of the greats, Chadwick Boseman. Who knew during all of this time he was blowing up and becoming famous? At that very same time, he was fighting a very silent battle with cancer that he ultimately lost, and it's just heartbreaking. So much I want to talk about. We found out through this that he was friends under this with Josh Gad. You're probably saying, how are these two guys buddies? Well, if you think about the Disney connection, there are all these Disney conventions that they have to go to, Disney press tours, he being Disney's Black Panther with Marvel, and he, of course, being Olaf and Frozen. And the two kept in touch, very much so. In fact, Chadwick's family confirming that the very last text message, albeit a long one, was sent to Josh Gad. I want to read part of it. That will move me to the end of time, where he said, we should take advantage of every moment to enjoy the simplicity of God's creation, whether it be clear skies and sun or clouded over with gloom. That's probably the 100th time I've read that, and I choke up every time I read it. And I'm going to choke up a lot here if I'm left to do this alone, so I want to bring in a good friend of mine. A guy who knew Chadwick very well, both in front of the camera and behind the camera, and a good friend of mine, Shawn Edwards. How are you?
Man, I'm doing well. Tremendously sad news, though. Just, man.
Yeah, and you knew Chadwick. I know for people who don't know, like me, you're a producer of movies. You also talk about movies. You worked out with Chad. You knew him, Chadwick. You knew him socially. And just talk about this guy as a great human being.
Well, he was. He was a terrific person. I mean, he had a wonderful personality. I mean, over the years of interviewing him, I got to know a little bit about him professionally. Then I got an opportunity to know him a little bit socially through some behind-the-camera work. And, I mean, this guy had a 10-year run that can compete with any actor during any era. I mean, he cranked out movie after movie, film after film for a 10-year stretch that rivals anyone. And for 4 of those years, he was battling cancer, which is just mind-blowing.
Just mind-blowing, and again, a testament to his real strength. A movie should be made, and indeed will be made, about his life sometime. In the meantime, he became the king of portraying other real-life people. In fact, the very first time you and I really got to talk to this guy was for 42, the Jackie Robinson story. Talk about that.
Yeah, that was a tremendous breakout role for him. I don't think people really understand the full magnitude of that film and Chadwick Boseman being selected to play Jackie Robinson. I mean, Jackie Robinson is an iconic, revered figure globally. What a way to launch your career. What a way to expose yourself, to the world. And it's also the type of role where the person chosen not only has to do a great job on screen, but you have to have the sort of personality that can uphold who you're playing when you're off screen. And he did a great job of doing that as well.
I remember standing just off set when you were sitting down to do your one-on-one interview with him, and I was getting choked up just listening to the magnitude, the depth of it, how much it meant to you, how much it meant to the community at that moment. Talk about the interview.
It was refreshing, and it was important, and it was fantastic television, and it was one heck of an introduction to the world. I mean, just a great way to break out.
Yeah, let's take a look.
As a South Carolina native, what does it mean to you to play Jackie Robinson, the guy who sort of broke down racial barriers and ignited the whole civil rights movement?
I feel like those barriers will eventually come down. They will come down, and I'm glad that I'm continuing that tradition of expanding people's barriers.
All right, that's a nice way to put
And,
that.
yeah.
Do you think this movie will continue the discussion about those racial barriers and social injustices that still exist?
I think that's why you do the movie.
Jackie Robinson, a black man in white baseball.
You have to show the sickness or expose the sickness in order to get rid of it. And so I think when you watch movies, you put yourself in the shoes of the characters that are in it. So everyone wants to put themselves in the shoes of Jackie Robinson or any, you want to be Luke Skywalker, you want to be Neo when you watch a movie.
Right.
That's so you can go through that catharsis.
Think about the abuse that he's going to take.
What I noticed in that interview and one I'm about to show is that he had this elegant grace about him that never changed. He had from the get-go.
Yeah, he didn't get caught up in the superstar element, that a lot of actors do.
And when he wasn't being followed or looked at, you could still tell from those around him he was still that guy. I sat down with him to talk about that game changer, that of course being his turn at Black Panther. And again, here's a guy where this is why idiots like me don't do this, because I'd be flying people into Los Angeles to show them the billboards going, look, that's me. Not this guy, though. He appreciated the fact that it was important. Take a look. Congratulations on this.
Thank you. Thank
So
you.
the difference between you and me is that you are a pro. This is your craft. Whereas I would be running up and down Hollywood Boulevard or anywhere the billboard was and going, that's me! That's me right there! That is me!
You know what? I saw the first, just yesterday. I don't know why, because I've seen the ones at the bus stop, like our individual posters, but I haven't seen the big Black Panther poster.
Right.
I hadn't seen it until yesterday on Hollywood Boulevard. I don't know why. Maybe because I'm thinking about different things that need to be done in the car, and I'm not driving, by the way. Or on my phone or what. But I have not really noticed any of it until yesterday.
I mean, it'd be cool enough to be the person in a
Yeah.
Marvel comic book movie, but this movie transcends that. Like, there are at least a dozen ways this movie is going to make history. How does it make you feel?
It's amazing. It's amazing. Just seeing how people have responded in terms of pre-sales, and how excited people have become. It's a sort of a movement. It's an amazing thing to be a part of.
I know it sounds like the simplest question to say, what do you have in common with your character? However, there are some very important traits that people should carry with them that this guy has.
I'm good at keeping secrets.
Oh, okay. All right.
I'm good at keeping secrets. Yeah, I think it's sort of a Wakanda thing. Wakanda is a secret, but as you get closer to the top or to the royal family, I think there are more and more secrets, and that's part of what this movie is about as well. Is pulling back the layers of the lie, and pulling back the layers of the truth.
Obviously, Black Panther will go on, and they'll recast Black Panther. But in our hearts, this will always be Black Panther, much in the same way the collective universe thinks Sean Connery will always be James Bond. He'll always be Black Panther, don't you think?
I 100% agree with you. I do not envy the producers of Black Panther. I truly don't know how you move on. And there's, arguably, Black Panther 2 was going to be one of the most anticipated sequels ever. So it's a huge challenge, and it's really hard for me to wrap my head around it because I don't want to think too much about it because, it hasn't been that long since Chadwick passed. But I do know that in this industry, business goes on, and, everyone's sort of like hinting at it or thinking about it. But it's just hard, it's hard to wrap your head around it.
Yeah, no doubt we'll be talking about that in the future. In the meantime, Chadwick forever. Shawn, I want people to see your entire interview, your collection of interviews with Chadwick and everybody else. Where do we find you?
Go to Fox 4 News, Kansas City. That's Fox 4 News, Kansas City, or fox4kc.com. You can see it all right there.
Shawn, thanks for hanging out with us today. You have a good rest of your week.
You too, man. Next time under better circumstances, but I appreciate the love, man.
Absolutely. Much love. All right, Extra Butter will be right back in just a moment. HBO dropping a new movie, Unpregnant. What does that mean? Yeah, we'll figure it out next. Hey to you, and welcome back to this Extra Butter. How was your break? Did you go grab some popcorn? Maybe with some extra butter? That's the weird thing about it. This show is called Extra Butter, of course, because of extra butter on your popcorn when you go to the movies. But these days, when you're watching stuff, you may as well have gotten some crap mac and cheese. Are you having some extra butter on your mac and cheese? Whatever you're eating, whatever you're drinking, whatever you're doing, welcome back. Excited to talk about this. HBO dropping a new movie, Unpregnant. The movie is remarkable. And you're going, yeah, what would you know about it? Because yes, it is based on a young adult novel of the same name. Here's why I like it. It's somewhere between Mean Girls, Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, Thelma and Louise. It speaks to a lot of things on a lot of different levels. All right, your two young leads here would be Barbie Shearer and Haley Lou Richardson, who do a great job together. The perfect pairing. Kudos to the casting director for perfect casting. I caught up with Haley and Rachel Lee Goldberg, the director, to talk about it. Take a look. People need to gather their pods together of comfort zone people and watch this together. I love this movie so much. And I know you're thinking, dude, you're not the demo. But there are so many universal themes people can lean into with this, don't you think?
Yeah, I really do. I think it's so much bigger than a teen movie. I think it's bigger than a coming of age story. I think it's bigger than a movie that addresses abortion. I think it's bigger than a road trip movie because it's all of those things somehow combined together. And yeah, I definitely think that it's a movie that has potential to start a real and honest conversation with anyone, not just 17-year-old girls, but just with humankind in general.
Sure. I don't know where to begin. There's so many scenes that I love, but like, you know, when you're 10, 20 movies from now and you look back to the day on the set making this movie, what's the moment you're most going to look forward to?
I think my favorite thing to do was the scene where I tased Bailey's dad. And we're at this place, and in real life it was called Jericho Nursery, and it was like this really eclectic garden nursery store,
Right.
with all this like crazy art, and it was just such a fun place to be out in the middle of nowhere in New Mexico. And then that scene itself, like expressing all the things I love about Bailey, and then being so mad at her dad for not seeing those things in her, and then like freaking tasing him was just really fun for me. Maybe that tells a lot about my personality.
What kind of sick thing do you need to work through here?
Yeah, for real though.
You know, there are few movies that are specifically perfect for the drive-ins. This is great for any theater, any big screen, or small screen for that matter. But what a great drive-in movie!
Yeah, it lends itself to I didn't have a Firebird, unfortunately. I didn't get to drive a Firebird to the drive-in, but it was still a great experience.
That was going to be my first probing and personal question. What was the first car you learned to drive in?
I think it was my family's Honda Accord, the beat up Honda Accord that I was allowed to drive because it already had a few dents and scratches.
That'll do. So I was telling someone how much I love this movie, and they said, wow, we didn't know you'd connect with it because you're not exactly demo. But there's certainly so many themes that everybody can relate to with this movie. What part of it did you wrap around the most? What part of the script jumped out at you the most?
There's so much to dig into as a filmmaker. I love movies that aren't easily defined. And the fact that I got to make a movie that we could draw from Thelma and Louise and from Planes, Trains, and Automobiles and from Mad Max Fury Road and Get Out was just really exciting as a filmmaker to be able to dive into.
Well, it's remarkable. It is a joy to watch. I can't wait for everybody to see it. And you know, when the world becomes normal again, we got to get this thing back on the big screens everywhere. Unpregnant is awesome, and now on HBO Max. I highly recommend it. All right, when we come back on Extra Butter, if you were to take a look around here, if I move the camera just slightly this way or that, you would realize what a dump this place is. Coming to Netflix, the designers to the stars, helping out with that, despite the fact that I'm not really a star. That and more when Extra Butter continues. Don't move. And welcome back. Yeah, take a look at my studio that I've been in since the pandemic. If you turn the camera either way, it's junky because I've been in the same room since the pandemic started, trying to do television. So sue me. The reason I'm showing you my mess, because there's a major book, a New York Times bestseller that's out called The Home Edit. These two ladies, Clea Shearer and Joanna Teplin, are the masterminds behind it. Furthermore, the reason I bring it up, it's now a major Netflix series featuring the movie star likes of Reese Witherspoon and lots of others. Movie stars ask these ladies to help them get their homes in order, so I'm going to pretty much do the same today, joining me on Zoom.
Take a look. Congratulations on everything. Talk about just the whirlwind of success. If you flash back 10 years from now, what would you be telling the current self about what your journey was going to look like?
There is no way I would have known 10 years ago. First of all, my daughter's 9. So 10 years ago was truly a different era. It was like a whole millennium away. But it's wild. You know, we started this business 5 years ago. We met 5 years ago too. We started the business the same day we met. So we have the same anniversary. And I mean, we just never.
It's a wild ride that you can't even. It's all pinch me. The whole thing is pinch me for 5 years.
Yeah.
I love the show. And here's one of the most impressive things about it. I've been interviewing A-list celebrities for pretty much most of my life, at least the last 30 years. I still get intimidated and choked up. Yet the two of you, it seems like no matter who waltzes into your life, you're unflappable. You're just yourselves.
Well, I'll say this. Every single client of ours is exactly the same. It doesn't matter if you're a celebrity or not. Our process is the same, and we go into organizing mode.
Right.
If any of them wanted to have dinner with us, we'd be
freak
like,
out.
no, I can't do that.
Yeah, we don't know how to do that with you.
Very flappable in that situation. But in organizing, it's again, we only have one thing that we're good at, which is organizing. So we get into that zone. And it's like every client's the same. So that's the only reason why. I promise if we were at drinks and hanging out,
not cool.
No.
Got it. Now, with each of the celebrities that comes your way, some of them are probably a little bit more in tune, probably waltz into this a little bit more easily. And I hate me to name names, but it's a name industry. So which of your celebrities was the easiest, most adaptable, and which one took a little bit more nudging to get organized?
Chloe. Yeah, I would say Chloe. She's already a previous client, and she is so organized.
Literally makes us almost look messy.
Yeah, she is. She just lives her life in such an amazingly organized way and could truly take our jobs any second. She's so good.
She's excellent. But it also, that comes with a bit of pressure because we're like, she's already excellent. So that means we have to come up with the last 2%, of something to judge to make it, look like we did something because she's so perfect.
She's so good at it.
So that can be intimidating.
That's why, like, a lot of these I'm seeing on shows and on social media, so many people moving into like van lifestyle. And the number one thing that I love about that is that they've gotten rid of all their stuff.
Right. Yes. The stuff weighs you down. If you don't use it or love it, it really weighs you down. If you use it and love it, then it's great to have. But if it doesn't, move on.
I moved in May, and before I did, I went through every drawer, shelf, cabinet, closet. I touched every single item, looked at it, and made a decision whether or not to keep it. And it's the most empowering feeling.
So, ladies, I've got two of the best in the industry, and you're in a place that post-pandemic, I'm spending 23 hours of my life every day in. Will you help me with this?
Of course.
All right, when we come back, the home edit flips my place. We'll be right back. Hello and welcome back to the final few moments of Extra Butter. When we last left off, the ladies who help out the stars get their home in order are doing pretty much the same for me and Extra Butter. The show is on Netflix. It is called The Home Edit, and they're helping me now doing some editing. Take a look. All right, ladies, in honor of your new Netflix show, you said that you might help me out with the one place that I pretty much lived most of my life. Could I just at least let you look this way and see what needs some judging, what I need to do?
It looks very cool back there, so I'm actually just nosy. I'm pretty interested in what's happening.
That's because, I just pretty much throw anything shiny that might look good on television behind me. Most of it's a load of crap.
It's not. It's probably items you really love. So behind Darth, I would like to know what Darth is blocking.
I'm using pretty much every limb of my body right now just to get back here. So pardon the karate kick to Darth, but
that's okay. Poor guy.
Okay. Oh, Lord help us.
I mean,
well, looks like I'm going to be getting rid of all this stuff now.
That lightsaber just helped you. It just took out some of the stuff. So let's talk about the items that you have back here. Are these all things that you love, number one, and that you want to look at, number two?
Okay, I could probably get rid of my Han Solo deep freezer because I don't keep anything in it, so that could probably go away.
Great, that's a start.
Mark Hamill signed a poster that I've had since 1977, so I'm going to keep that.
Keep that. Now, it's pretty cool. Why is it down on the bottom shelf, kind of shoved behind Darth Vader? I don't think Mark Hamill would even like that.
Yeah, good point. Okay, so Mark Hamill needs to come to the forefront.
Right.
Heading this way a little bit.
I
think you don't really talk about wall decor, so we should not even talk about posters and stuff, right?
Well, these posters are obviously, I mean, they're signed, they're special.
Right.
Absolutely. I mean, all of these things, this is real memorabilia and also, I mean, personal possessions.
Right. You just want to make sure to honor all the collections that you love here. So there's nothing that has to go away as long as you honor it.
Except for that deep freezer. You don't need that.
Right. Got it. Yeah. Deep freezer's going away, and should my cheap piece of particle board furniture go away? Is there an alternate to that you would suggest?
I mean, there are a lot of alternates to that. So if it's a piece of furniture that's just not serving you and you don't really like it in your space, I mean, there are plenty of alternatives, good storage options.
Right, and for inexpensive amounts, you can store your things that you love in a better place, in a better way.
Absolutely.
You've begun to change my life already. Ladies, The Home Edit is on Netflix. Watch The Home Edit because...
Oh, I don't know. You get something. We want to motivate everyone to get organized in their homes.
Get organized.
Right. So we really hope the show does that for everyone.
The creators and stars of The Home Edit on Netflix giving me some tips. Hey, speaking of Netflix, next week on Extra Butter, Sharon Stone and Sarah Paulson from Ratchet joining us. All right, I guess I've done it all. I've said it all. I thank you so much for joining me. If you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to like and subscribe. And if you're not watching on YouTube, you might be watching on AFN. And if so, shout out to all the men and women serving our country in 168 different countries and territories worldwide. We salute you and we thank you. Everybody else, don't forget to jump on YouTube and like and subscribe. I'm rambling now. Hopefully credits are just about over. Yep, here they come.